Alrighty. I didn't realize I didn't have music or anything playing. Just kind of threw this together last minute. Didn't really expect to do this, but let's talk about it. I can hear myself through my headphones. I need to mute myself on Twitch. There we go. Emotions are raw. That was definitely. I went into the game expecting not to win. Not because I really didn't think we had a chance. My cats are going crazy in the back right now. It's not because I didn't think we didn't have a chance. I went in expecting to lose, so that way my hopes wouldn't get too high. But then when they jumped out to that lead, that 24-7 lead, my feelings started to change. I expected it to be closer than it ended. At that point, I was expecting the Lions to win. That was definitely 49ers did everything they could possibly do right in that second half, and they deserve that win. This wasn't the game was stolen from us. It was just the 49ers did everything they needed to do in that second half to, one, erase the lead, and two, get their own lead and take over the game. That was ugly, but I'm still not going to say the season's a failure. It was a bad game. Second half was bad. The season was not a failure. This was not a bad season. They did everything that we had expected them to do at the start of the season. They won the division. First time in my lifetime they've won a division. They won a playoff game. Also, first time in my lifetime they won a playoff game. Those are what we had as goals coming into the season. They completed those, and we came in within just a few plays of playing in the Super Bowl. Let's get into the game a little bit. It was, like I said, we were going 24-7 halftime. That was insane. As my mom can attest, I kept saying every time the Lions got on offense, even with that lead, we need to score. We need to score. We need to score. And ultimately the scoring stopped. The offense couldn't get the ball moving. And it seemed like everything the Lions had been cursed with coming up to that point, whether it was we can't stop a running quarterback, we don't know how to cover tight ends, wide receivers just can do whatever they want against us, all happened. Fluke catches that have no business of being completions, bouncing off the face mask of Vildor and landing directly into Ayuk's hands. That is like everything that the only thing we were missing was a game-breaking penalty being called against the Lions. Looking at the stat line, Jared Goff, 25 for 41, 273 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff did not, he played better than that stat line even indicates. There were a lot of drops, with Josh Reynolds having two critical drops, one on fourth down and then one on third down the next drive. He did make one really great catch in that last drive of the game to keep it going, but it was ultimately too little too late. David Montgomery ran really well. I was starting to get a little annoyed with how much they were trying to go to Gibbs, as outside of Gibbs' one run, he really wasn't getting much done on the ground. The 49ers seemed to know exactly every time he was going to run and be able to stop it for a loss, and then he ultimately had the fumble. But David Montgomery was the hot hand, and they went away from giving it to him, and that kind of annoyed me a little bit, that they weren't feeding David Montgomery more. Jameson Williams had that one run in the first drive of the game to get that touchdown. He did that touchdown, I think, could have been caught, that he had later on, but ultimately it didn't matter too much. He did catch a touchdown. I don't want to take away from that either. Sam Laporta was a beast again, 9 for 97. Amon-Ra, 7 for 87. Jameson, 2 for 25 and a tutty. And then Josh Reynolds ultimately with the 2 drops, 1 for 25. Just, this was a rough game. This was definitely rough. Um, Dan Campbell's decision to go for it, the 2 fourth down conversions. I don't disagree with the first one. I think that first one, the play call was right. The execution is what sucked. They should have had that first down with Josh Reynolds dropping the pass. The second fourth down try is the one I have the issue with. You already seen the 49ers take all the momentum back, and you're down by 3. I don't know why you don't go for the field goal there just to tie it up. I know being aggressive is what got you there, but at that point, you need to look at you've already failed on fourth down. San Francisco has completely shifted the momentum all the way back in their favor. They came back from the deficit and then they took over the lead. You have to kick a field goal there. I know we don't have a kicker you can trust, but you can't do that again. You can't. I that's the one I really have the issue with. Your defense hadn't been able to stop him at that point. All that quarter. You've just been getting roasted. Your offense isn't moving the ball well. Get the 3 points. At least try for the 3 points. Instead of having not a great play call and then letting Jared Goff throw short because he's under pressure. They went away. Lions went away from the run game too early. They still had 182 rushing yards, but they went away from it in that second half during that third quarter. They just could not get the ball moving. That is another big issue I had. Is they should have continued that run game. That run game is what built that lead, and they went away from it and started passing it more. And yes, Goff's passes were. Some of them were a little high, a little long, but for the most part, he was on pretty well as your receivers that were starting to have issues. And then again, the defense couldn't keep Purdy in the pocket. They had 2 sacks total, and both of them were on the same drive. They were not really getting great pressure all night. They had a couple free runs, but Purdy was just able to step up in the pocket, get downfield, get a first down when it really mattered. That was rough. That was really, really rough. Defensively, I want to take the entire secondary, load them into cannon, and launch them into the sun. They could not cover any of these receivers. If I have to hear another time Kindle Vildor was in great position, he just didn't make the play. He does that every single time. He cannot finish the play. He could have picture perfect coverage. The ball could be in his hands, and he's gonna let the receiver catch it somehow. I am just really glad that we will not have to hear that name anymore, because I don't foresee a world where he is on this team next year. Even CJ Gardner-Johnson getting the 15-yard penalty, that really sucked. He talks a lot and then just really has not done anything to warrant the trash talk. His interceptions, he had one really good one earlier towards the end of the season. Last week against Tampa was tipped into his hands, and he just looked out of position so many times. He had bad tackling. For a guy who talks as much trash as he does, he really does not back it up at all. I've gotten really annoyed with that. Ali McNeil, I think, is a monster. Really need to build around him. I really liked what I saw out of Josh Pascal in this game. He got his hand on a pass that was the one that was intercepted by Malcolm Rodriguez. He was able to sniff out a reverse and made great play on Debo there. I really liked what I saw from Josh Pascal. And Aiden did nothing. So he batted down a couple balls early in the game, but he was a total non-factor after those plays. He wasn't getting pressure. He didn't get any sacks, no tackles. His stat line is just 2 passes defended. He was a non-factor, and when your best pass rusher is a non-factor, you're really going to be in for a bad time. Tyson Alawalu and Ife Melifonwu got a combined for a sack. But other than that, this defense really, really struggled completely. It looked really good there at the beginning, but they threw it all away, and that it sucks. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It sucks. For the most part, yeah, I noticed Jack Campbell a few times, especially on those end zone runs, waiting until the ball carrier was at the end zone, was at the line to make the play. He had a couple good plays. I don't want to say his game was all bad, but I really expected more out of him this year. And I'll do an end of the season recap. But I really expected more out of Jack Campbell this year than what we got. I still feel, I'm not going to say he's going to be a bad player. I still think his future's very bright, and he just needed a year to kind of adjust, is what my hope is. But there's hardly anything on this defense after this game that should be talked about highly. That's really all I got to say about that. Malcolm Rodriguez, great job coming in and making an interception. But again, other than that, the defense really showed that they should not be on the field with an opponent that can do what the 49ers can do. They look completely outmatched in that second half. First half, they played well. That second half, allowed 27 unanswered points. And that gets you what it gets you. Brock Purdy, very stellar game. If I have to root for a team in this boring Super Bowl, it's going to be the 49ers. If I have to root, if the choice is between Kermit and the most generic white guy, my family all graduated from Iowa State. I guess I got to root for Brock Purdy. But really, this is a Super Bowl matchup I really did not want to see. I did not want to see the 49ers there. Really wanted to see my Lions. I did not want to see the Chiefs there again, as I am sick and tired of the Mahomes, Kelsey overexposure. Every commercial seems to be about them, and I hate it with a passion at this point. McCaffrey's a monster. The Lions did a really good job in the first half, hemming him in. It's about all you can say about the defense. Good there was they hemmed him in well, and then he just started breaking good runs. But yeah, 155 rushing yards for the 49ers. 267 yards passing. And most of that all coming in that second half. That was really ugly. That was really bad. But again, I don't want to take away from the season the Lions had, because it was a good season. They just decided to play their worst football in the second half of the most important game of the season. Like I said, I'll do a season recap later on, maybe this week, if I get around to it, if I feel like it. But yeah, a very ugly game. 49ers deserve it. They're going to go on, play in the Super Bowl, probably win. At least I kind of hope they do over the Chiefs. But it sucks knowing you were that close. Where a couple of questionable fourth down decisions, a couple drops away from playing in the franchise's first Super Bowl. Yeah, don't really have much else to say about the game. It was an ugly game. Congrats to the 49ers. Go beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. But other than that, I really wish it would have been the 49ers. At this point, I wish it was the 49ers and the Ravens in the Super Bowl instead. I wanted the Lions, Chiefs, but I wish it was now the Ravens, 49ers. So that's really all I got. Rough game. Rough game. I'm going to keep saying that. I'll maybe do more in-depth later this week again. Depends if my willpower brings me around to talking about this again. But thanks for watching. I'm going to end the stream and go try to drink a few beers and get drunk and then go to bed before I have to work tomorrow. Life rolls on. All right. See ya.